Hey everyone, it's Seven Bell Canto. Welcome back to my channel. I have yet another book review for you today. I just finished Joanna Shupe's The Heiress Hunt. This is book one in a new series entitled The Fifth Avenue Revels. I think book two sort of went viral in the romance community. The Lady Gets Lucky has that wonderful like bedroom clinch cover, even though they're like more entangled in sheets. Amazing. And the third book I think is just as steamy, but that one doesn't come out though, I think like March. But this is book one, and I will say book one is in the mass market paperback, and book two is in max market paperback. So it's the paperback like this, but just a little bit taller and a little bit wider. So it's sort of like in between this and the traditional paperback. So the series will not match on your shelf, so if you're a pet peeve for that, you may want to get digital, but I don't mind. I actually like the max market better because they're a little bit easier to read and you don't crease the spines as much. Like, I'm really delicate with my books and I still creased it a little bit, so that's one of my pet peeves. I like to keep my books really nice, but not everyone's the same. But I digress. So I'll start off with saying that the spice for this book was a 5, and it was really well written. So if you want a historical romance with some like really good spice, check out The Heiress Hunt. And my Goodreads rating for this book was also a 5. I really enjoyed it. So part of me reading this book was, I see on Joanna Shupe's Instagram that she's constantly posting about the new HBO Max, I think, show, The Gilded Age. I'm not sure if she's involved in it somehow, if she's like a dramaturge for the show or if she wrote for it or what, but she's posting about it like she's involved, so that's really cool. I sort of want to ask her if she is, just for fun. But this is an American historical romance, and it's set in like the Gilded Age of New York. So that's really cool because a lot of times historicals are usually written in England or like Scotland, maybe like France, but it's pretty cool to have like an American story. And I like the Gilded Age of America. One of my favorite classic novels is The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. If you haven't read it, you should give it a try. That's one of the classics that I would say really doesn't read like a classic. It reads like a modern novel, because I know a lot of people can be intimidated by classics because they think they're so highbrow that they couldn't have fun with them, they couldn't, you know, comprehend. But Age of Innocence is a great story. It's a really good movie too. It came out in like 93 or 92 with Winona Ryder and Michelle Pfeiffer and Daniel Day-Lewis, I think. One of those. Not Johnny Depp, but he should have been in it. But yeah, so I love the Gilded Age of America. That's like sort of the American version of the Victorian era, basically, like same-ish time range. So like mid to late 1800s to like early 1900s. So like, I guess before the Roaring 20s, probably. I'm not fully sure, but that's what I would call it. So it's basically when like New York and cities were like really becoming metropolises or metropoli, with like the switch between carriage to motor car, and you know, you had the Vanderbilts and all that sort of stuff. So around that era. So what I really liked about this story was we had a sort of different heroine. In my description, I called her fresh, not in like a, ooh, she's fresh, but like she's modern. She's like a breath of fresh air. So Madeline, who goes by Maddie, she is what I call a sporty spice. So she is sporty. She is basically a tennis pro, and she wants to be the best female tennis player in the air, which I think is 1895. Does it say? I'm pretty sure it does. Let me go to the page one. But she wants to be, yes, 1895. She wants to be like the best female tennis player in the world. She's very driven, and she basically got her parents to not put her into like seasons and like marriage etiquette, marriage material, until after she did like 3 years of playing professional tennis, because she wanted to go to like the championships and become the best. So I think that's really cool. I think that her parents were really cool, that they were supportive of her and her dreams. And that's what we see a lot in this time period. Women are getting to be not the equals of men, because I mean, it's not like the right to vote and stuff like that. Well, I mean, we're still fighting for equal, but I digress. But women are able to do a little bit more. So they're not just like little wallflowers from like the Regency or Georgian era that we've seen in a lot of historicals. Maddie is a lot more modern. She can do sports. She can go to college. She can study. She can be witty. She can be smart. But, you know, you can be smart but not as smart as the men, or, you know, pretend you're not as smart as the men or whatever. So they have a little more liberty, a little more freedom. I mean, not perfect, but, you know, world's not perfect. But she's a little more modern, so that's fun too. If you get kind of tired of the like stereotypical wallflower, or like, oh, I just have to find a man or else I'm going to be an old maid. Ooh, these are a good take for that as well, because you get a fresh heroine that's not necessarily looking for love, but looking for like purpose, which I think was really cool. So Maddie is an awesome heroine, and then our hero Harrison Archer is even cooler. I really liked his character, although he begins the novel seeking revenge. So the novel begins with him returning to New York City after like a 5 or 6 year hiatus. He was in Europe, mostly in Paris. You know, basically he was a rich man, so of New York City, he could basically go off to Europe and have exposure to arts and culture. That was just a thing. Like if you think of the movies A Room with a View, and you know, there's a bunch of other ones. That's all I can think of right now. But like A Room with a View, you know, you go to Italy, you look at art, you're cultured, you're, you know, Lynch Evangelista. You just become more aware of the world, and classicalism and all that sort of stuff is really popular. So during the Gilded Age, I mean, you see a lot of architecture was like a Greek and Roman era. So that classical history was really pushed on the upper class to know about, you know, Plato and Socrates, and culture and art and mythology, all that stuff, but, you know, still remaining in that strong Christian belief for those Protestant, the wasps of society. But yes, so Harrison has returned, and he has a grudge. He has revenge on his mind. So his father was not a very great man, and he has basically bankrupted the family's fortune. And it must have been his elder brother. His elder brother is doing a horrible job as well as running the business. He's sort of shady like the father was. And Harrison's like, you know what? I'm just going to bankrupt my family. I've made a lot of money over in Europe. I can't remember what he did. If it was like, I think he just was in business. He was in some sort of business in Europe. I don't know what I was thinking. He was in some sort of business deal in Europe, and it was really booming. And he wanted to basically take over his family's empire, but also low-key bankrupt his family so that they would be having to like kiss up to him, because they were really mistreating of him. Like, in my trigger warnings for the book, I put childhood emotional trauma and loss of parent, obviously, and then we have some beguiling or not dubious consent, but dubious acts of our hero, sadly. But yes, so he has revenge in the mind. He wants to, you know, bankrupt his family basically. But then his mom is like, if you want to get your share of the inheritance and keep your fortune, keep your lifestyle, you have to find a bride. You need to help get like a dowry and money from another rich family. So he's basically on a heiress hunt. And he runs into his best friend Kit and his other best friend from childhood, Madeline Webster, aka Maddie, our heroine. And she decides she'll help him find an heiress, although she's kind of sad. She's seen him, she never really was like in love with him when they were children/teenagers, but he's come back like 6 years later and he's like a man, and Maddie's like betwixt by that. She's like, whoa. She's like inconsolable about that. She's like, whoa, he's a man now. That's crazy. And so she's all aflutter. but she decides, you know what, I'll help him find an heiress. And so she has like a family, I guess, beachside or waterfront home in Rhode Island. I'm not sure if it's Cape Cod or where it is, but she has a lovely, like, sort of McMansion, if you will, on the coast, like as you can see from the cover, sort of. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. The house is kind of in a mist, all the steam. And so she's like, well, you know what? We'll go to my like summer McMansion, you know, summer property, as Martha Stewart would say, and we'll have like a luncheon and like have you meet all these eligible young women that would be perfect for you. Well, with that close proximity, the two childhood friends sort of realize that they're both into each other. But the problem is Maddie is like low-key engaged to a duke, which that's like the best you can get. Like during this time period, I mean, if you know like Downton Abbey and stuff, it was very, very pushed by the rich Americans for their daughters, usually their daughters so they could have titles, their daughters to go to Europe, but specifically England, and find a man of aristocracy. That's a hard word. Aristocracy. And to get a title. So, I mean, who wouldn't want to be a duchess or a marchioness or whatever? But yeah, she's sort of met this duke. She likes him a lot. He's sporty as well. He's very outdoorsy, which she's an outdoorsy, sporty girl. So she enjoys that about him. And they make a pretty good match. It's not like he's a jerk or anything. But when she sees that Harrison Archer is back, she is shooketh. And so there's lots of fun along the way. I don't want to give too much of the plot away. I think I did a pretty good taste of what's to come. But if you're looking for a fun American historical romance with really, really good spice, check out The Heiress Hunt by Joanna Shupe. I don't think you'll regret it. This was a really fun romance. I really liked our characters a lot, and I liked the story. And I'm really looking forward to reading book 2 for the cover alone. It was really good. But Joanna Shupe, I really like this book. I really like this author. This is my first novel by her. I read the novella, the Christmas novella. It's Miracle on Ladies Road or something like that. I can't remember. I read too much, but I really love that novella, that Christmas novella. But this is my first novel by her, and I'm really excited. I'm glad I picked this up, and I can't wait to read book 2, which is on my shelf, and pick up book 3 when it comes out. And don't forget to watch The Gilded Age. I'm going to ask her at some point what's her involvement with it, just for fun. I know that comes out on, I believe, HBO Max on January 24th, and that's like a Gilded Age. I think it's by the guy that created Downton Abbey, so I'm thinking it's going to be like Downton Abbey but spicy, because HBO, I'm hoping it's spicy. What's the point of it being on HBO if there's not like good spice? You know what I mean? Well, everyone, have a great day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, as well as comment. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Southern Belle Canto. If you want to know my Goodreads, just message me and I can sort of send it to you. I need to figure out how to link it. Once I do, I'll start adding it to all my information boxes. So yeah, if you're looking for a fun book, check out The Heiress Hunt by Joanna Shupe. Bye, everyone.